for self-service, specifically for the chemicals industry. We have a very large audience today, so I'll be sure to leave a portion at the end of the session to answer any questions that may arise. My name is Jeff Brown. I'll be your facilitator and presenter for today. I'm a senior OneView data technologist at Rolta and have implemented a number of BI solutions across the globe. So just a quick housekeeping note. Everyone is currently set with their audio disabled. But if you happen to have any questions throughout the course of the webinar, please use the dialog bar to submit any questions. I'll try my best to answer them at the end of the session. So for the scope of this webinar, the questions that we'll be answering today are, what is OneView? How does OneView work? And how can I test the abilities and value of OneView at my own pace and without setting up my own infrastructure to do so? So let's jump right in and get to answering that first question. What is OneView? So at the heart of it all, OneView is an enterprise operations excellence solution, provides decision support to asset-intensive industries. So it's been designed by subject matter experts who have worked in these asset industries, such as upstream, downstream oil and gas, chemicals, and manufacturing. And it's been done so to set up specific improvements within the organization. So specifically within the chemical space, it provides key benefits such as giving an accurate understanding of overall equipment effectiveness, proactive planning and control, minimizing quality deviations through the elimination of bad actors. It provides a tailored alignment for safety performance and regulatory compliance. So these benefits have been built on best-of-breed BI platforms, as well as knowledge and data models that have been specifically created by Rolta. The OneView solution itself has approximately 1,300 unique performance measures, which consist of key performance indicators, or KPIs, and key risk indicators, KRIs. Specific for the chemicals industry, there are 575, and these are covered across 8 subject areas. So as you can see in the chart below, see a breakdown for each subject area. So in order to display these KPIs and KRIs in a business intelligence presentation layer, obviously the native source system in which the data resides needs to be considered. This integration side of the solution is made easier as Rolta has built some standard methods for connecting into all of these typical source systems that are used in the industry. So even after that complexity is taken away, the question you have to ask then is, well, what are you going to do with all that information now that it is cleansed and consolidated? And the 2 key words are clean and consolidated. So now it becomes an issue of developing the right performance monitoring dashboards and reports. So dashboards are more than just pictures on a screen, because anyone with Excel skills can have some data and render a dashboard. So the issue isn't how you create a dashboard. The issue is more what you do with it. How do you drill to root cause? How do you get predictive analytics to alert you that there is an issue based on a threshold limit that's being seeded within a key performance indicator? And how do you properly leverage both leading and lagging KPIs and KRIs? Leaders in business intelligence don't just use dashboards to show where I currently am. They use it to perform root cause analysis, diagnose problems that are happening in real time, and in some cases even use it to forecast and predict. So unfortunately, the majority of companies just operate their business in a rear-view mirror and make decisions based on aggregated data that's happened over the past few weeks or past few months. So in order to be one of those leaders in business intelligence, you need to have those real-time and near real-time connections set up. So this image shows how the OneView connector framework works and gets all the information from different places within a customer base and brings it into one single location so you can then display it in a meaningful way. So even though Rolta has a strategic partnership with SAP, we also bring in information from a number of other source systems like LIMS systems or OSI-Pi. So this structure has been specifically designed to cater to asset-intensive industries. So this kind of shows the heart of OneView, bringing in information from different functional departments within an organization and allows you to make meaningful correlations between those departments. So it's important to note that the source systems in the screen aren't necessarily an exhaustive list. They're just listed to articulate the point that information can be brought in from the entire enterprise. So now that we've answered what is OneView and how does OneView work, let's get to answering that last question. How can I test the abilities and value of OneView at my own pace without setting up my own infrastructure and at minimal cost? So before we start, it's important to know that Rolta OneView can be set up on-premise using 1 or 2 source connectors and a few dozen KPIs span of about 7 to 8 calendar weeks. Rolta has a standard set of practices to do this. However, this might not be your preferred approach to test the solution's abilities. It involves having the infrastructure, involving team members and departments that might already have other commitments with other initiatives or projects. So that's why Rolta has just recently deployed its OneView Self-Service. So it's a cloud-based solution that allows anyone to leverage 15 KPIs that are widely used within the chemicals industry with no installation or cost required. You can essentially set this up at your own pace as you have time and not be worried that you're part of a formal sales process. It's essentially a sandbox to test the solution out. So off the top, I mentioned that there are 575 key process indicators within chemicals. So we're just looking at 15 for self-service. I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown of how that process actually works. So within the 15 KPIs, they're actually spread across 14 areas of focus. We brought in information from operations, maintenance, reliability, health, safety, and environment. So basically what we're going to show, I'll do this towards the end of the webinar, is how you can actually make correlations across departments to get a better understanding of what the enterprise is functionally doing and allow you to do root cause analysis through that information as well. This image here gives an idea of the process flow. So it's fairly straightforward. In order to kick off the process or request access to self-service, it's just a matter of sending an email through to Rolta at info.na@rolta.com, and I'll provide that email address towards the end as well. That information falls through to Rolta and allows us to send information back to you. So how to access, what information you need to populate, and then how to communicate that back with Rolta into Rolta's private cloud, and then render the final information. So we have an automated job that actually pulls this information across, and actually leveraging the OneView data engine to be able to display this as well. So step 1, make contact. So you need to send an email across your information to info.na@rolta with a header of OneView Self-Service Demo. And so what we actually do is we set up basically your own virtual machine within the private cloud and provide you with the access credentials for an FTP at that same time. Along with that is 2 Excel spreadsheets and a user guide to guide you through the process as well. So step 2 is to populate data load templates. As part of that FTP information, we provide 2 templates that have a data dictionary within them that shows you exactly how to populate information to get the solution rendered in the self-service cloud. So each spreadsheet is fairly straightforward. We do provide examples within those spreadsheets to have them populated. And it's going to be representative of the source systems that OneView would be connecting into, rather than using a connector framework to plug into the source systems on-premise. So it's a way of basically communicating that instead. Obviously, this is a process that's going to require a bit of time, a lot of manual intervention, or requesting information from resources within your company internally. And that's one of the values of having self-service. You can do this at your own pace. Once we set up the FTP, you'd be doing this over the span of 3 to 4 weeks, 3 to 4 months, as you're able to get access to this information. Step 3, once you have all that information populated, is then uploading that into the FTP we provided. So it's important to note that with those Excel documents, even if you don't have information entered for everything, maybe you didn't have the access to health, safety, and environment information, you can still upload these documents with no information within them, within certain sections. It's not going to hinder this from being able to be displayed in the end results of the dashboards. It's basically just going to show what you provided, and you'll be able to walk through it in that sense. Step 4 is that we have a scheduled job that pulls information from this FTP and then brings it into the Rolta OneView data engine to calculate and render those KPIs. So basically, you'll be able to leverage that OneView data model by pulling that information across from those Excels. Rolta's going to do the heavy lifting to process it, and what will happen after that is you'll receive an automated email with the connection details. So basically, we'll have a dashboard set up for you. There'll be 3 different users that you'll be able to log in with to show if a solution was actually set up, who would have access to different elements within this data. So you can have a user-based access. And this is set up at 15 days. Obviously, with there being no cost on your side to set this up, we do have to ensure that we do make these resources available to other users as well. So we keep them up for a short duration just for you to be able to test through what the end solution looks like. But by all means, if you need to have this duration extended, it can be done in 15-day increments. Just have to notify info.na@Rolta, and we'll get that turned around for you. Step 6 is to log into Rolta OneView Self-Service. So these images that I'm showing on the screen here are indicative of what you'd actually see in the end solution. So obviously, there's a number of different ways that you can have a presentation there for Rolta OneView. You can have something that's fairly straightforward, which is what we're showing here. It's just basically out-of-the-box dashboard design. And we also have the ability through consultative services to actually be able to have something in HTML5, make it mobily enabled, to make it a bit of a richer experience. But the core value here is that you're being able to see information across multiple departments or multiple functional organizations within your enterprise to be able to see how that information is actually being brought across. So what I'm actually going to do now is give a quick demonstration of some sample data that I've loaded into self-service. So I've gone through those first 5 steps. Rolta sent me an email to access my instance to see what that data looks like. So what I'm actually going to do is just bring that up on the screen now. So again, they're giving me a URL, I have a username and password. I'm going to go ahead and enter in. So what that's going to do is actually bring up a SAP Business Object screen. And you can see across the top here, we have those 4 different areas the KPIs are located in. And you'll see a couple functional tabs that are each one of them. It goes to show how the information is actually being displayed. So what we're actually showing here is operations and production information. So within one of those Excel documents that would have been sent across, I was entering information over a given period of time to see plant availability, my capacity, and total energy consumption per ton. What I'm seeing here is that for my year-to-date values, the thresholds that I've set up, I'm not reaching them. So it means that I might want to be able to go in and do a deeper analysis. At any given point as well, these little indicators point that there's a detailed drill down that I can perform on this graph, as well as a help indicator that lets me have more information about how this is rendered, what calculations went into it. So for operations, what I'm going to quickly do is just show some of the drill down capabilities. So for example, if I was looking at plant availability and I saw that my year-to-date was under 98%, I can see just by looking at this quick chart here that I have dips in April and June. So I might want to go in and see exactly what was happening there. So I'm going to go and click that drill down. So what that's going to do is then give me access into the second layer of KPIs that we're feeding this. So by default, what I can actually see is I have June over here on the right-hand side. I can see those months like I had on the first screen. And then it actually gives me a breakdown by day of plant availability. So what I can actually see is that percentage for the year-to-date was affected by, there was 2 time periods in June where there was no availability. So I can also see that there was unplanned downtime related to that as well. So what happened was there was likely something that happened within one of the units or a number of units within the plant that forced me to basically shut down for a period of day to do corrective maintenance. Again, just from the operation side, that's the view that I have. When we look into maintenance reliability, we'll be able to make those correlations across and see exactly what the meaning was behind it as well. Just to give everybody context, I'm just going to click on budget compliance so you can get an example of the type of information that's displayed there as well. Again, so I can look at budget compliance across 3 months and see that as red as well. I could do a drill down within budget compliance. And again, like we saw on the operations tab, it's going to do a deeper dive into it. So what I can actually see is for that month of June, my budget was here and my actual costs were up here. So what that tells me is that, for that time that I was unavailable, there was a lot of extra costs going on. So it might have been that through work orders, it might be that I had to bring in extra contractors to be able to evaluate issues that were going on. If we scroll down, we can also look at details by department. By default, I'm just showing budget compliance by top management. This little indicator here, this chart, shows that I can also select and look at something like information services. I click that. What that's going to do is refresh the screens here on the right-hand side, and I can look at my budget compliance by that IT services. So what I can tell here is that for that Excel document, I didn't maybe have a budget parameter that I put in, but I can just look at what that value is across multiple departments. All right, so now I'm just going to go and take a look at maintenance. So for maintenance, we're actually showing 3 different tabs across the top here. So what I'm actually going to do is, I'm showing backlog work orders, I'm showing preventive maintenance, number of breakdowns, preventive maintenance to corrective maintenance ratio. And so we can kind of take a deeper dive on that story as well. I can look at backlog work order, and like I mentioned off the top, I can click help. And what that's actually going to do is show me where that information is coming from, typically how often it should be updated, daily, monthly, year-to-date, to actually have those indicators showing. And then the types of drill downs and details that we have for that as well, and basically where those data sources should be coming from. I can close that window and then basically do a drill down on that as well. So I can do a look at basically my backlog of work orders to see, okay, well, from that, what I was seeing in operations, I was seeing that my availability dropped in June for those 2 days. So basically, while that was happening, I was doing corrective maintenance. So everything that I had planned to do for work orders basically got escalated. So the number was quite a lot higher for those period of months. So just having a maintenance view, you can see that that's actually happening. Maybe you had that insight, but knowing that you can see that across operations, across maintenance, you can actually see what that indication has, or what costs that has associated to operations and maintenance at the same time. You could do a drill down into that and look at the individual work orders if you wanted to be able to see, maybe there was a high cost work order that got omitted, or maybe they're all small. Maybe we made decisions that we wanted to bypass all the preventive maintenance for that month, and just look at my backlog of corrective maintenance. So for the same thing, I'm just going to quickly show the views for planning and budget compliance, just to show how those KPIs are rendered. Again, planning effectiveness. I can look at that month for June, my backlog of work orders was up, so I can show that my planning for that month was fairly poor. I didn't get through all the backlog. I didn't get through my backlog as quickly as I wanted to, so I can actually see that I'm well below my target for that month. Drill downs available help as well. I can also look at my budget compliance within the maintenance department as well. So I'm clicking on that, and basically what it's going to do is show my actual budget and then show the variance as well. So I'm leveraging both y-axes at the same time. Now I'll take a quick look at reliability. In reliability, we're enabling two tabs, one for inspection compliance, the other one for mean time between failure and mean time to repair. So my inspection for non-compliance, I can see that it's escalated over the period of the year. And the actual versus planned is basically have the same variation. It's been steady across the duration of the year. For mean time between failure and mean time to repair, one of the things we typically look at is we look at these in reports. And basically what we do is we look at them in stacked ranked. So you want to know that your mean time between failure, maybe it's been a long period of time for a given pump. At the same time, if you knew that mean time to repair that pump was a large number of days, so maybe 3 or 4 days to actually repair that specific asset, you're going to know that since it's been a long time between failures, that if that goes down, that's going to have a very large effect on the end result. So basically, what you're actually going to be doing is looking at your failure and then actually seeing, okay, what was that cost? That's going to affect my availability for that month as well. And for health, safety, environment, we've just enabled one KPI within that area. And that is number of incidents. So we basically just have one indicator to show meaning behind it, and this is just for fatalities. Obviously, within a given plant, if that number is more than 1, that's a serious issue. But just to give an idea about the kind of drill downs you could do across this. So you can imagine that if you had the deeper set of KPIs enabled for health, safety, environment, or incident management, you'd be able to do basically a quick inventory of the severity by incident, the date. You can look at near misses, because near misses are a leading indicator into the overall health for your health, safety, and environment department. So what I'm going to do now is quickly answer some of the questions that have come up. As I mentioned off the top, there's quite a large audience today. So I'm just going to take a look at basically 2 or 3 of the questions that came across. So the first question is, can the trial period be extended past 15 days? So one of the things that I mentioned within the presentation is, yes, the trial period can be extended. Obviously, 15 days isn't a large period of time. As I said, just because this could be leveraged by multiple users at the same time, we just want to make sure that we can keep your costs down and enable as many KPIs as possible. So when we're doing that, we're basically only having to set up for a given period of time. If there's a certain call to action or there's a certain requirement that'll need you to have it available for a longer period of time, you can send that email to info.na@rolta.com, and we'll extend that duration. So the next question here is, will this be expanded into other industries? So obviously, the examples that I was using, or that have been used in self-service thus far, are just for the chemicals industry. In our roadmap for self-service, the next available set of KPIs are going to be within the downstream oil and gas industry, and we'll be looking at basically some refinery use cases. We'll probably enable the same number of KPIs, and we'll be making that available over the next month. All right, and we've got time for one last question here. So, are users required to populate all data within the provided data, or within the provided spreadsheet? Sorry. So the spreadsheet that we provide, they've been set up in basically 2 series of Excel documents. Basically, if you want to be able to enable one of the tabs and you don't have KPI information for it, by default, all the pages will be rendered. They'll just show no data within them. So you can get a feel for, if you had information, what it would look like. But for example, I know that functionally within a a chemical plant, it might be hard to get information or to get information over a specific period of time. So if you can't provide it, that's fine. We still render the pages. Okay, well, I'd like to thank everybody who's participated in the session today. And just one final note. I'd like to encourage all participants today, if you have a topic for in an upcoming project or something in general that you think might be useful to the community at large or specifically for self-service, please send me your suggestions through info.na@rolta.com, and we'll be more than happy to try to table them in the future. So thanks again, and have a great day.